Afternoon, everybody. Listen, my name's Scott. I'm going to be presenting half the course today. I'll be taking the course today, but we're going to give it a couple of minutes. I've also got Bartek on the line. We've actually got an enhancement to the course today. So I'm going to be presenting some of what we'll be teaching in the main course. We're going to go through one of the areas. We're going to talk about onboarding and AI today. So we're going to go through that and the looks at the positives and the minuses. I'll do that for about 20, 25 minutes, and then Bartek's going to take over. And he's going to give you some good insights on prompts and various other things regarding AI. So I'll just hand over just now to Bartek, and he can introduce himself. And then in about 2-3 minutes time, I'll let everybody come in, and then we'll just get started with the live guys.
All right, thanks, Scott. My name is Bartek. I'm one of the founders of Create IT. And what we do is that we introduce AI into iGaming companies. So we teach people how to use it. We enhance the tools of these companies to actually make them use AI the way it should be used. And for today, I'm going to go through, you might think those are basics, but actually whenever I do this, people act kind of surprised. So it's not really basic knowledge. So I'm going to show you how to prompt properly, how to learn the differences between the different models. And yeah, we're gonna have fun around making the AI model work exactly as you expect it to work, rather than get some random answers from it. So Scott.
Brilliant. We'll give everybody 1 more minute. We'll go at 4:03. Just decided that, so we'll give everybody a minute for anybody that's still joining, and then we'll as soon as it goes to 4:03, we'll head off. But just to give you a framing as well, I said it before there, so we're going to look at the course. Obviously is going to be in April. Firstly, thanks to Adam and Jack and Gaming Operations Academy for organizing this. My name's Scott Rowan. I'll just give you a little bit about me. I've spent 15-20 years within the iGaming industry. But the last 5 or 6, I started off as a trader, and then I was running sports books. So that's kind of my background. I've done a lot of things within iGaming. But the last 6 or 7 years, I've been heavily into or studying the cognitive science of cognition, about how people experience the world. Essentially, it wasn't generally for it wasn't for the iGaming industry, but it seems to work. And the reason why this is relevant is because basically the cognitive models, the best cognitive models, the best cognitive science that we have today, these are the researchers that have done the research on human beings, how they experience the world. And this is exactly what they're building into the AI to try and get to AGI, basically, which we're not there yet. So that's why it's relevant. So today we're going to look at one area. This is one area out the course. We're going to look at onboarding and how AI can massively help, because it really can. But also we're going to talk about, it's very rarely talked about, where AI is still lacking because we don't have AGI. Because when we get AGI, we'll all be out of jobs. That means artificial general intelligence, so what human beings have, so we can understand relevance. As most people will know just now, listen, ChatGPT, Claude, some of the models, they're absolutely fantastic. This is certainly not an anti-AI talk. AI will change the world if it already hasn't. But what I would like to do today is just to give you like the cognitive side, a little bit of balance about where it's still lacking, about where anybody that's introducing AI into your iGaming business, there's still areas where it needs human expertise, and obviously the areas where AI can massively help. So right, I'll just get going then. So AI in gaming, tools, trends, and real world impact. Today, we're just going to look at one segment, onboarding. AI wins at speed, but loses in safety, and that's going to be important. Okay, this is a quote from December 2025, so just a couple of months ago. Geoffrey Hinton, known as the godfather of AI. Geoffrey Hinton was one of the main architects. He was based out of UST in Canada, and he was a big architect for the neural nets. Anyway, anybody that's geeking out on AI, he's a big player. He worked for Google for many years. He left Google a few years ago. He's now warning against the dangers. So it is what it is. But AI systems, he said this, and this is really important to what I'm going to show you today. AI systems are getting much better at reasoning, and there's no doubt about that. Even ChatGPT, the last few days, I've even noticed like an increase in the reasoning. It's getting much more precise, like its data about complicated topics, because it's definitely getting better. But it's also getting much better at deceiving people. And this is going to be really important. Why is this? Because we're in the iGaming industry and we're still dealing with human beings. So there are many, many advantages to AI. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But AI, we don't have AGI. So human experience still counts. And AI, we cannot forget this. It predicts patterns and it gives us outputs based upon predictive knowledge. It doesn't understand. It doesn't feel like a human being. And that's going to be vital right now until we get to AGI for you to win at iGaming using AI. Okay, what we need to start with, I'm not going to go on about this, but this is the kind of the cognitive science. The reason why I'm starting with this is basically how all human beings, every one of us here, experience the world. But most of it goes on unconsciously. So you've got a photo there, right? You've got a man on a phone, a lady presenting. So the science of human experience. I always start with this and I ask, this is not a test question, but what do you think when you see that? And I'm not going to ask, but the general answers are, the person's not engaged, he's quite rude, the lady presenting will be a bit disappointed because somebody's clearly not paying attention. These are the responses I mostly get when I present this, and you're absolutely correct. But why I'm highlighting this is that, and this is a really important point, because most of our cognition, most of the way we experience the world goes on unconsciously. What neither of us did there, when you look at a photo, if you enter a room and you see this is called predictive processing in the scientific literature. Basically, human beings start with no experience. We start off at age 0 and we get up to wherever we get to in life. And we have experience of meetings. We have experience of being with friends. And we build up expectations, let's say, about what we expect a good experience to be and bad experience to be. And this is going on unconsciously. So why does this matter? What it means is when anybody's coming to your iGaming site, they've already got a prediction about what they expect. This is going on unconsciously. And if you're not meeting that expectation, an AI can do a lot to help this, or it can do a lot to harm this. So if you're not aware that human beings they're not coming to your website and saying, oh, I quite like this, I quite like this. Think about walking into a bar, say maybe somebody's recommended or a restaurant. You've walked in and you've like, I really like the vibe to this place, I really don't like the vibe. What we're not doing is we're not going into our heads and analyzing all the details of, oh, I like that seat or X. We just get a feel for the place. And I'm harping on about this because it's really, really, really important, because the more what's happening now and what we're seeing in a lot of the data, the more we get into the AI world, we're handing more and more experience over to AI. So we're saying AI says this, so we'll do this. But human experience is still far different. We are not robots, no matter what anybody tells you. And this is why, understanding this, if you use the AI correctly, what we're going to show you today, and you get the human experience part right, mixing them together is the winning formula. That's what I'm going to argue for. So, as I said, we looked at that first picture, and I give you the second picture. So we all had a picture. The first one normally is like the man's rude. But then if I gave you this picture here, so it's the same man, and maybe it's the picture's telling us that his mom, his grandma, or somebody's ill. So again, what we do again, we don't update, so our perspective changes. So what happens with human beings, once we get new information, hopefully if it goes well, our perspective will update. But the key point here is that this is all going on unconsciously. So when people are, if you take this away from today, when people are entering your site, they're not giving it a go, they're coming with pre-built predictions. That's what they call it in the scientific language, but just expectations. And if you're not meeting those, or if you try to cheat them, or if you try to sell them somewhere else, they will leave in droves and you won't even get a chance to entertain them. So the second part, so the human brain's always predicting, keep that in mind. The second thing the human brain is always doing at all times is we're looking for relevance. What's relevant to me right now? So I've got a couple of, so the reason why this is important regarding AI, so a lot of people, I've seen strategies when I've worked for businesses, is that we'll just send more emails. We'll just, we'll do more X, Y, and Z. But I used to say, the reason why I picked the image for the emails, I used to sit next to a colleague that didn't have that many, it was about 4,000. And because I'm a person that I'll always clean my emails, there's many people. So obviously this person here, this is an AI image, but 23,000. So 23,000 people have sent an email and it's not been relevant to them. So the human brain's always predicting what it expects to happen, and it's always looking for relevance to me. And that relevance changes all the time. So for instance, why is this important for iGaming and certainly onboarding? If you're in a big business meeting, if you're meeting, say, it's one of and you get sent an offer, for anything. It could be the best offer in the world. You've sat and planned it. You've said, like, this is we're going to go out at 4 o'clock. This is X, Y, and Z. At 4 o'clock, if you've got a business meeting, your whole focus is on your business meeting and what you have to achieve there. Or similarly, if you're spending family time, if you're at your son's football game or something else, that's not your moment. So what I'm trying to say is, and this is really important, so some people will analyze data, but if you're not sending your messages, if you're not contacting people with the correct tone, with the correct timing, in the correct context, your messages won't even get seen. This is like the work of Dr. Ian McGilchrist. He's a neuroscience. He talks about the two sides of the brain. I'm not going to go on about that, but basically, you just don't even see it. So this is one example here. Another good example is that brings it home to most people is social media. So for instance, if you're scrolling on your social media, we call it a relevance filter. You can scroll through your social media feed and you just ignore everything else. The brain's amazing. So say for instance, that man there, I'm representing that he's hungry. So he finds something, oh, that burger looks nice. That's relevant to him right now. So this is really, really important as well when you're sending messages, when you're setting up your website, every part of your iGaming. If you're not making things relevant to people, and most people say we do make it relevant, but if your numbers are not good, usually the problem isn't a technology problem because the AI is brilliant. It's usually a relevance problem. But again, we will talk a lot more about this in the course, but take these two things away and have a little think to yourself even after this. Think about situations you're in. You're always predicting if you walk into a room, I like that person or I don't like that person. And everybody's always interested in the things that are relevant to them. So again, we will talk about more in the main course, but it's good to understand that. Okay, so on to the main topic of the day, onboarding in the age of AI. So most teams treat onboarding as a process, and that's entirely correct. What you want to do is you're trying to get people in with offers X, Y, and Z. You're trying to onboard them and keep them. That's what every iGaming business is doing. But onboarding is a process to the team. So when you're sitting in a meeting, you're sitting and you have KPIs. You're like, I want to do this. We want to onboard these people. We're going to give them this offer. That makes total sense. But the player experience, and this is why we don't have AGI right now and why you can't solely rely on AI, because the player experience is something different. Let me explain. So when you're winning and losing money, and I'd like you all to go with the kind of thought experiment. When you're handing over your hard-earned cash, say for instance, you're even a sports shop and you like a pair of trainers and it's much cheaper on a website. We all still have that moment of judgment as in like, is this safe? What the brain's looking for at that point is safety. And especially when you're winning money. So think about the experience. When somebody signs up to a new iGaming platform, whether it be casinos, sportsbook, or whatever else, they know that your job is to take money off them. So they come in hesitant. They might like the offer, say it's a free €50 bet, £50 bet, but they're skeptical. They know that your job is to take money off them. So what their brains is doing, and this is happening unconsciously, because again, we go back to it's predicting what's relevant. Their brain is looking for safety first. They're looking to build trust before they'll hand over their money, essentially. But the problem that we have with a lot of onboarding strategies is that we create KPIs that are for the business. Let's push X, Y, and Z, but the brain doesn't have time to be safe. So the customer's asking, is this safe? Do I trust this? Am I in control? Because when you're dealing with your own money, believe you me, think about your own experience. You want to be in control. You don't want to feel pushed. You don't want to feel cheated. So that's what your brain's asking until you build trust with a business. So the player experience, the brain is setting a baseline expectation. That's based upon the predictive processing. So we're always predicting the world. I'm signing up to a new casino. Is this casino legitimate? Will they give me payouts? The offer's too good to be true. Can I get, is it a legit casino? The brain is asking that unconsciously. And what happens if you give them early uncertainty? It's emotional alertness. So for instance, I'll give you an example. If you have bet 50, get 20, and you go through and then suddenly you change the terms and conditions on them, that to the human brain right away is a warning sign. You'll be like, I'm not sure if I can trust these people. You don't know them. And people do this all the time. So the AI will they'll set something out and they don't understand the experience of a human. And basically it's very wise at times. We'll look at this to put terms and conditions because we have bonus abuse. Everybody knows that. So it's sensible to hide these things, to put these things in your term and condition. What we're talking about right now is that if you're a genuine customer and you want bet 50 to get 20, your brain, if you go to the landing site and suddenly the terms and conditions are changed, it makes sense for the AI and for the people that we need to protect against bonus abuse. but it doesn't make sense for the customer's experience. And this is really important. Also, early pressure. This is another huge mistake that a lot of people make in onboarding, because think about meeting somebody for the first time, like a new friend. Has anybody came up to you and tried to be your best friend really quickly? You don't analyze this. Your brain just tells you, I want away from this person. If they know too much about you, oh, this and this. It's how we experience the world. And this is exactly what happens to customers. If you pressure them early, we're going to see a couple of the mistakes. You're asking for a second deposit straight away, asking them to do X, Y, and Z. You're not giving their human experience time to settle down. The AI doesn't understand this. This is where you need the human understanding of human experience to use the AI for the great parts, but make sure that it doesn't just run a pattern that's going to go against human experience. So onboarding, what I'm arguing here, is teaches the player how the brand wants to treat them. So what I'm essentially saying is, if your onboarding stretch is real pressure from the word go, have a look at your numbers, have a look at your onboarding flow. Are you asking for too much too early? Because the technology we have available today, you can pretty much you can do anything now. The AI we have is brilliant, but usually when people are not, maybe they're onboarding, they're taking the bonus and they're not coming back, it's usually because you're asking too much too soon, or you're giving them an experience that they don't want to have when they're basically trying out your brand for the first time. So a real world example, we'll go through this quickly. Imagine joining a new gym. In the first few minutes, you're pushed towards a premium training. So straight away, you walk in the gym, you sign up, you're shown advanced supplements, you're told that you need, you're asked to commit to dedicate to a class before you've even feel the place out. Just imagine that experience. For 99, some people might like it, but for 99% of the people, that's just oh, this is too much. It's like the example of trying to be your friend too quickly. It has to build over time. The brain is always looking for trust, especially when the experience is new. So logically, and this is again happens in iGaming, to the gym, they're trying to show value. So if you're setting up your onboarding in iGaming, you're saying, well, listen, I'll show them this feature, we'll give them this, we'll show this. Logically, it makes sense, but neurologically to the brain, it doesn't make sense. And this is what the AI doesn't understand. This is why you need the human understanding of how your customers are experiencing every part of your business, and to use the AI wisely. So yeah, that's exactly the customers get when you push them too early in an onboarding session. So if you're thinking about your onboarding and your numbers are not, what I would argue for you today is the technology will be there, but have members of your team, this is going to be rushing to the end, go through your experience and ask people how they would experience every part of your onboarding, because it can look logical in KPIs when you're planning things out, but it's actually not logical about how the customers want to experience it. So if your numbers are not doing well, the strongest advice is go over the experience and go through every part and think how you would experience it. It's a very strong thing to do. What AI helps in an onboarding? This is really, AI is brilliant. Listen, this is not an anti-AI talk. In the full course, we're going to go into all the areas where AI can massively help you. Like AI can recognize patterns that no human can. We have to recognize if they're good patterns or not. AI can reduce uncertainty. The brain doesn't like uncertainty, especially when you're onboarding. Speeding up KPI, escalations. When you solve problems with AI, the customer's really, handing over documents. If you make that process, that's where you should be using AI, and that's where people are using it wisely. These are not the customers coming to your casino to have a experience. They want to gamble. They want to have dopamine. This handing over the documents that we're forced to do now, depending on the regulation, this is just part and parcel of it. So if you can use the AI to solve those problems, that's exactly where you want to be using the AI. So faster ID checks, it reduces anxiety. That's a brilliant thing. Smarter walkthroughs. So if there's some confusion, the AI spots that a lot of people are stalling in your onboarding at a certain point. You can use AI to walk them through. You'll get more people onboarded. Brilliant. This is exactly what AI should be doing. There's a lot more great things that AI can do. We'll go into them in the course, but there's just a few for today. So I'm going to give you a few as well. So we've recognized a few of the good things where AI can quietly break onboarding. So over automation creates coldness. So again, I'll go back to human experience. When you're winning and losing money, it's an experience. You might come on, so you have the customers that come on because they're looking for bonus hunters. They don't care about the experience. They want the bonus. They maybe stay with you if you bonus again. But the customers we're all trying to get are ones you want to engage, you want to have long-term value with. So you say a genuine customer. If you create a cold experience, and remember, AI does not feel, so the emails, the prompts, the nudges, the next best actions, if it all feels overly automated, this, you think about this, if you go into a business and you want, like, where's your favorite restaurant? Where's your favorite shop? Well, look at this. You go back to places because they feel that they get you. But if you over automate things, if it's too cold, it will naturally turn people into just turning up when you're giving them a bonus. So you'll put them into habit players. They won't be engaged players. But it just doesn't create the experience that customers are looking for. So AI does all this brilliant stuff, but if you're not making sure that you're going over all these journeys in your onboarding and making sure there's a human touch attached to them, you will see within the player data, if you carry on that, it will just numb the experience for people. Second one, personalization too early. This is another one. I mentioned it earlier on. It's like the example of becoming friends too early. Imagine signing up, placing a few bets, and immediately receiving, we see you prefer roulette. Listen, we all know now, for instance, the other day, my wife was talking about something random. The next day, all this experience we've all had, Google or wherever it was trying to sell her that product. Are they listening to us? Probably, that's with shopping. Sometimes it can feel helpful, but this is the key, because sometimes we can think, well, it happens in Google and people don't mind. It's an entirely different experience. When you're winning and losing money, if you think people are gaming you, again, ask your own human experience. If you're losing your hard-earned cash, and you think somebody are trying to manipulate you, it's an entirely different experience when they're trying to sell you something, because you might want to buy the thing anyway. You get the something, but if you personalize too early, it's gonna feel invasive. Again, the customers, that's when they walk away. You can look at it in the data. Personalization is a brilliant thing. I am not arguing against personalization. Everybody should be personalizing, but you have to give the customer safety first. You have to make sure they're onboarded, and then you personalize as you go. If you personalize too early, again, go back to the let's be friends too quickly. It's just not what the human brain wants. So that's something to bear in mind too. Optimizing completion create delayed churn. Yeah, this is another thing we see as well. So you have bonus hunters, bonus abuse, whatever you want to call it. So these people are coming in, they don't want the experience. They just come in, they'll look at your terms and conditions, they're in and they're out. But if you're talking about a genuine customer, what can happen if you push too hard too early? So faster onboarding, high completion, immediate deposits. All those, if you're sitting in a KPI meeting, these look like the AI, we've won here. We've onboarded people faster, higher completion, immediate deposits. But then you have to check if these customers are coming back and deposit the second time, because we've all sat in meetings where you look at KPIs, look, things are going up, but the customers are not returning. What's that telling you? That yes, they've maybe completed the journey. It's like going into a shop and being forced into buying a coat. I remember when I was younger, I used to like the shop from Scotland, but Newcastle was close. And I wanted to be a cool guy. There was a shop down there, but I never went back to the shop because every time I went in, they just would try to sell me something. I remember buying something the first time and they forced me into buying it. This is what happens. This is the experience your customers don't want. So you maybe get the completion. So your KPIs look, it's good. We've got faster onboarding, higher completion, immediate deposits. But if you're pushing too fast, that'll lead to churn, because what happens is you won't get a second deposit. They'll come, they'll take the bonus and they'll go away again. So again, it's down to player experience. The brain is looking for safety. And if you're pushing too hard too early, they might complete the journey, but you'll see it later in your data. They won't reply for a second deposit. So go over your journey, and if you're finding, look how many people are actually depositing a second time. It's a good KPI to look at. So where this shows up in the data. So what you'll typically see when things are pushing too early, features and value pushed too early. I've done this myself, by the way. Until I understood this, I used to do this all the time. Right, in the first week, we'll get them to deposit this, we'll get them to play this high margin game. So I'm not saying this because I haven't done it. I've created flows doing this myself, but I've also seen the data now. And for genuine customers, they want to feel safe when they're coming on. They want to build up. Not talking about a relationship; it's a gambling site at the end of the day. But they don't want to feel cheated. So not too much pressure early. Early pressure for a second deposit. Say, for instance, somebody's deposited day one, you give them another offer, because everybody, I've sat in meetings, it's like, let's get that second deposit because it'll build loyalty. Well, actually, it works against the brain. Because everybody's pushing for the second deposit, if you show them you're a business that's willing to take your time and you're looking for a longer-term relationship, you'll build more genuine relationship with good customers. Welcome bonuses designed to defend against bonus abuse. Again, this is something I've done myself. I put this one in because I used to design promotions, or have designed promotions for people, and I'll be defended against bonus abuse. So if you're in a country where it's heavily bonus abuse, any bonus can be abused. So what you're doing is you're hiding in the terms and conditions. And that's fine to bonus abusers. They'll either find a way around it because they're not here for the experience. But what that does to a genuine customer's brain, so say for instance, you do manage to capture them on a social media site, they come for the 23 bet, but then suddenly they come in with an honest heart, so to speak, but then you've hidden terms and conditions, they have to play this game or they have to play that game. To them, you'll not hear them complain, they'll just feel a little bit cheated, they'll feel that you're not being straight with them, and you won't see them deposit again. And then early steering towards high margin products. Again, this is something I've done myself and I've seen lots of other companies do it, they still do it. It's natural, accumulators, I've run sportsbook, let's push them towards accumulators. But if you're not an accumulator customer and I'm pushing you towards accumulator, you'll see that as everybody knows that accumulators is, bookmakers make more money from accumulators. So if you're pushing that too hard, if they show you they like to play those things and then you introduce it, that's one thing. But if they're not asking you and you're pushing it, just think of that experience as well. When you go in anywhere, you decide you want to have a steak in the restaurant and they come up and say, we've got this really expensive sushi. That doesn't feel right. And that's exactly what happens if you start pushing high margin products to them too early in the onboarding journey. So what to watch for? The signals that matter. Faster completion, low return rate. That's a 1. So you might get that's what I was talking about. You might get the completion, but check how many are depositing the second time up. That'll tell you how well your onboarding is really working. Silent exits. Again, this is 1. So people will complete the journey because human brains like to complete patterns. So for instance, say they got 70% of the way through. They feel pushed 70% of the way through. They will finish the journey. A lot of people will it because they think to themselves, I've started now. They'll get the bonus, but they won't come back again. So again, look at your numbers. See how many people are doing second and third deposits. That'll tell you how good your onboarding is. Early support contact. That's always a warning sign too. If people are contacting support, there's something in your flow that's not working. You're like 1 or 2 customers, but if it's a regular thing, make sure that's causing a friction point. And the brain, again, is looking for safety. You don't want any friction points, especially when you're starting a relationship. High first deposit, no return. Again, so if you've got a 50 to 20 bonus, I would say, and I'll show you in the course, you should be putting those on different journeys. If a customer's shown you they're not coming just for the bare minimum, if they've shown you, like, say, for instance, the bonus is you have to deposit 50 and they're depositing 200, there's a good chance that they're going to be a good customer. So you want them on a total different journey anyway. But if they're high first depositing customers and they're not returning, again, there's something in your flow. It's probably because you're pushing too fast, too soon. And again, AI, let's just say AI can solve these problems if you understand, if you really get into human experience. But it can also, if you let the AI come up with a solution, it'll be like push, 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 because the AI doesn't feel, it just looks to complete patterns. So again, the AI can be a huge help here, but it can also be a hindrance if you're not really designing it for human experience. So a smarter approach. Onboarding is not about moving faster. It's about helping someone feel steady. I would argue this all day long because, again, we can talk about different profiles of customers. Talking about, if you just take, again, we can all look at KPIs and look, I'm successful. But then if you go down into your data and they're all bonus abusers, that's not a KPI I want to look at because, the fact of the matter is people can complete your onboarding journey, but you have to know what type of customers you have. So what you really need to be doing is taking good customers, people that have been with you 3 months, and see how well you're retaining those customers. Anybody can find a KPI to say what you're doing as well. But the truth is, if you're a genuine customer and you're looking for a relationship just to have, play, you're going to want to be treated, your brain's going to want to be treated with safety to start off with. It's not going to want to be pushed. So a smarter way to onboarding, remove friction. That's what AI can do brilliantly. Clarify steps. Again, AI can, when you get friction points, AI can clean that up. Reduce repetition. Again, the brain doesn't want repetition when it's a mundane task. Detect real confusion. Spot genuine risk. AI is brilliant for all these things and much more. But AI do not use AI to rush deposits. Again, pushing too hard too early for a genuine customer is a no-no. Escalate pressure. You've got to buy this now or it'll go away. Nobody actually believes that. And especially when you're putting your own money online, you can feel manipulated. Forced completion. Again, gamification is brilliant. Gamification used widely is one of the best tools that you can have in this industry. It really does work. It's built upon the science of Lev Vygotsky. He created the science of the zone of proximal development. That's how we all learn. We like to complete patterns. Gamification is brilliant. But if you use gamification in the wrong way, it will do this again. The brain will just run away. You'll feel cheated. So forced completion. If many customers want to be gamified. We'll talk about this in the course. And gamification, so you gamify those guys, But some people don't want to be gamified. So if you push gamification to them, they're going to see that as pressure. That's a no-no. And then replace human judgment in sensitive moments. This is the core of what I'm saying here. So this should be, there's lots of human beings on here, which is a good thing. What you need to argue for in your business, AI is changing the world, has changed the world, will change the world. I've got no doubt about that. Nobody knows where it'll end. But right now, until we have AGI, you still need the judgment of experts. And what's this? What's happening here? If you're a CRM, if you're VIP, or if you're what, you need that human. What's the human experience like? Because again, the scientific data is quite clear. The more and more we're getting into AI, and the younger generations will just be like, AI said this, so we'll do this. You have to use human judgment. If your numbers are not doing what you want them to do and you're implementing AI, it's usually because the human experience. It's not because of the tools that you have, because the tools are brilliant these days. It's usually somewhere along the line, you're not speaking to that brain properly. So the final slide, and again, this is just brief here. I've taken half an hour. I'm going to hand over just in a second. What I really want to say here, and this is going to be the core of the course. We're going to look at the big positives of AI. And again, it sounds like I'm being negative of AI. It's not at all. I want to give you both sides. This is based upon the scientific data, and you can ask yourself your own experience as well. Early trust beats activation for good customers. We're not talking about bonus abusers because they'll finish anyway. Emotional safety beats speed. If somebody's sharing the money, think about when you're spending your own money. If somebody pushes you into thing when you're spending money, you can feel cheated. Calm beats clever. People can see through patterns. Human beings pick up on the patterns. They just won't return. They might not tell you they're not happy. They just won't return. They'll see the pattern if you try to push too early. A fast start doesn't make people feel safe. A slow exit, it's a slow exit in disguise. So the final takeaway: if onboarding is optimized for speed but not designed for experience, AI will make it worse, not better. AI magnifies intention. Designed for trust first, and then let AI scale. So that's it. Thank you. I've talked for half an hour. I'm going to hand over. I know there's a lot there, but just I want to finally say, the course, I think it's running in April time. So this is kind of this gives you a flavor of what we're going to do. We'll talk a lot more about onboarding, all the different things, tools. We'll cover many different things. What's working well, what's not working well. You'll get multiple strategies. So if you decide to join the course, I'd love to see you there. But I really appreciate everybody's time today. And now I'm going to hand over. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott. One thing before I jump into my part is that I cannot agree more that AI, that's a tremendous tool. But right now what I see is that everybody's rushing to put AI into the places where it shouldn't really be placed. So sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's, let me put it that way, you should not do it. You should be really careful about how you use AI, right?
Yeah, I think that's just the final thing. I'm certainly not arguing AI. I use AI every day. It's already changing the world, but I just think that more of the arguments are about all the positive sides, and I understand that because people selling AI, that's what they're going to sell. And there's no doubt there's many positives. It's going to do a lot of very good things, but we all have to know. And this is an argument for all us, anybody that's on this course, because we're all working in iGaming. They could take all our jobs. So this is really an argument for expertise still counts. So that's my argument anyway. But over to you, Bartek. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you. All right, so my part will be a little bit more practical. So Scott focused on how to use AI on your platform and how not to use it on the platform. I will focus a little bit more on how to use AI in your daily operations, or how your team should use AI in their daily operations. Being aware of the time constraints today, we're probably going to only scratch the surface here. So if anybody is interested in a little bit more deep dive approach, we're going to have workshops next week. So find me on LinkedIn to get where and when we are doing it. Everybody's invited, of course. But all right, let's jump straight into it. So the way I see most of the people are prompting. We're going to use ChatGPT for now, but I'm going to show you later how to explore different models as well. So the way I see most of the people are prompting is something like that. So they think that AI has this magic way of reading your mind, and that it can get even the things that you did not write in the prompt, that is, it will magically learn that there's given context, there's a given expectation when it comes to the response, etc., etc. So what it does, it does its best to give you the answer that it thinks is the best for you. However, quite often the answer is pretty vague. It's pretty generic. It's pretty well, not really helpful. Think of it that way. The knowledge is there. The models have a lot of knowledge, actually. And if you're not getting the response that you want to get or that you expected to get, it's actually your fault. It's not the fault of the model. So, for instance, the little prompt that I've put here. Imagine that you work in the game studio and you have a task of learning the most popular feature of slot games nowadays. So typically, your mother would do the prompt like that. What features in slot games are popular nowadays? I want to know what people like, right? There's nothing wrong about it, and we got some response. Actually, it's pretty helpful. However, what's really nice to do is to give the model a little bit of awareness of why you're asking, what's the type of the response that you expect, and what's the how to structure the response. So a little bit more advanced version of this first same prompt would be to do something like that. So the first thing that I did is I said, who am I and what I'm doing? So I'm giving a little bit of context of, are we even in iGaming, right? Remember saying slot games could refer to physical machines, right? The second thing is I'm telling the model what kind of answer I expect. Could be bullet points, could be could be anything. However, let's not have the model second guessing here. It's okay to tell it what exactly you expect. And then the very same prompt that I did last time. So you will see now that the answer is a little bit different. Since I have an IT background, I work with bullet points a little bit better. So from my perspective, it's more readable that way. There is this little trick, and I will show it to you just right now, that if you want to have the answer focused on some different areas, well, okay, let me put it differently. When you talk to somebody, or to be more precise, when you email somebody or write them on a WhatsApp or instant messenger, you do use, even if you're not aware of that, you are using extra information somewhere in between the lines. So, for instance, some of the letters you would write in capital letters, right? If that's possible, you would put bold. Some of the words would be bold. Sometimes you would use headers in some documents, etc., etc. So how actually the models work is that they do understand that kind of language. So from ChatGPT, but basically every single model which is available there in the market, they do understand, for instance, this. So from their perspective, text is now bold. So it's the same as in Word, Microsoft Word, putting the bold on the text. So it's something like that. So it tells the model that what you have in between those stars, it's important, and it's like a key instruction. So that's super important for you for the model to focus on that. It does understand hashtags like that, but that's a headers. So that's a heading level 1. That's a heading level 2. That's a heading level 3. So what it does is it indicates the sections, and it creates a hierarchy in your prompt. So imagine that you have a prompt that requires the model to do number of things, not just one thing, but number of things. You could put all the information in the hierarchy. For instance, tell the model to look on the Reddit as the most important source of the information, and then use I don't know, Facebook as a second level of the source of the information. We also have horizontal rule, and that gives us sections. So whatever is above that line is one section. Whatever is below that line is a second section. Whatever is below another one is the first section, and so on and so on. So if you wanna, the very same prompt that we did a couple of minutes ago, if you wanna do professionally, actually that's the way to do it. So what I did is that here we have a header saying that we are doing the popularity research. We are telling the model how it should act, and please note that that's a bold text here. So it's super important that the model remembers that, hey, you act as a market research analyst, not anybody else. Don't hallucinate on that one, so to speak. And I'm giving specific requirements, data sources, etc., etc., etc. So basically, that's the very same prompt that I had before. But right now, I'm telling exactly where to look, what to look for, and how to. Oh, sorry, a little bit too quick. And how to structure the response. So typically, the model. You could think of every single model as a two-way mirror. So right now the model sees, damn, that guy knows what he's talking about. That's a pro. So it will take a little bit more time to think about it. And it will get, well, let's just see how it goes, but it will get pretty sophisticated answer, and it will not just use surface data, so to speak. It will try hard to get the real answers here. So let's just give it a moment. Yeah, as I said, yeah, ChatGPT today is, yeah, there you go, 38 seconds. So yeah, let's not read that now, but what I'm trying to say here is that there's way less randomness in that response here. We didn't expect ChatGPT to second guess what's our purpose. We simply told it to what we are expecting. Another thing is this little thing, and that's actually great when you work in teams. So I'll give you a very simple example. What was that? It's called placeholder. So think of a simple question: when and where was the title movie taken? So think of very sophisticated prompt, very that you spend hours on crafting or days on crafting, and actually that happens a lot when you work with those tools a little bit more. And at some point you realize that, hey, actually Lucy from my office could use the prompt as well, but she will ask a little bit different questions. She will ask about different movies, or she's interested in different sector of the market. So, for instance, I'm analyzing company A, and she's analyzing company B for some reason. So instead of expecting Lucy to go from my prompt and understand it and replace every occurrence of the company I'm researching, simply the model will ask her, what company are you researching? So in that particular case, where was the movie taken? Title is a placeholder where if you're going to ask model this question, it will always respond, all right, but what's the title you're looking for? So I will say Rambo. In response, it will remember the prompt that I had a second ago, and there you go. Yep. So you could have a couple of placeholders in your prompt, and the prompt could be as big as one of the previous examples I gave you. The model will not get lost in it. Don't worry about that. One other thing, which is pretty cool, Let's get back to that very, very, very basic question that we asked a couple of minutes ago. The prompt, I'm not saying it's incorrect. It's just, well, very basic. One way of getting better answer is this little trick. Let me show you. Whatever it answers, I can write now, this was answer level 1, give me level 10. It goes great with technical questions. 10 is actually super sophisticated. Typically, you would be looking for number 2 or 3. But it's basically, think of it that way. As I said in the beginning, the models, they do have a lot of knowledge. The only reason why they are not giving you that knowledge is that they expect that, well, you're probably not the expert here. They don't want to overwhelm you with complexity of the answer. But if you're gonna do that little trick, you're directly telling the model that, okay, I know what I'm talking about. Talk to me like a pro. Give me all the details. Yeah, you get the drift. One pretty cool thing is that at some point you will get to prompts which are like super long, super complex, super sophisticated. Actually, there's nothing wrong in prompting the model to create a prompt for you. So we can reverse the situation, okay? So instead of asking the model, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? You could ask it to ask you as many questions as it's required to create a perfect prompt to solve a given problem. We don't have time for that today because I want to show you something else as well, which I think is pretty cool. Projects. And projects, you do have projects in ChatGPT. If you're going to switch to Perplexity, and Perplexity is called Spaces. Basically, every model has that. It's just a matter of different names. So, what's a project? You remember in the prompts I used a minute ago, I repeatedly said the same thing. Act as a market research analyst. I work in iGaming studio. We create games, etc., etc. At some point, you get tired of repeating the very same things over and over again in different prompts. And also, at some point, you will probably want the model to be aware of the files as well. By file, I mean PDFs, Excel files, whatever. Basically, whatever is related to a given topic. So instead of repeating yourself over and over again, you can create a project, say Game Studio project, or well, Game Studio research. And if it's, yep, it's working. So how it works is that there's a project name. It doesn't really mean anything, but there's instruction. And instruction is you could think of it that way. Whatever you're going to put in instruction, it will always paste that text to the beginning of your prompt. So a pretty good idea here is to put things like that. Let me copy paste. There you go. Well, okay, that's a pretty small window here. So your role, act as a market research analyst. We've had that before. Your answer, use bullet points for clarity, include specific examples, keep explanation concise, etc. Sometimes what I do in my private prompts, I do give me only the answers that you're sure of. Don't try to guess. Don't be nice to me. Don't be polite to me. Give me the facts. Because one thing you gotta know, ChatGPT especially, is designed in such a way that as one of the top priorities, it puts your well-being. So even if you are asking dumb questions and you're suggesting dumb answers, it will always act in a way that you're so smart, you're so great, and it's more important for it to act that way rather than to give you facts. And if you're looking for facts, simply tell it. Put that into instructions and and it will take that into consideration. You could also put some files in here, and that could be anything: images, code, documents, basically whatever, XML files, whatever. It's great. My way of using it is there you go. Oh wow, I removed the instructions on the previous presentation, but typically, for instance, I put here the stats results of the games that well we're handling for one of our clients. So that's the performance results of the game. You know, the DGRs, all the types of stats, etc. Those files are actually pretty big. So that means whatever prompt I'm going to do here, chat will respond to me being aware of all the information in those files. I'm a technical guy, so I use it for technical purposes. But you could think contracts. You could think PRM results. You could think basically anything. All right. I want to leave a few minutes for a Q&A session, for a quick Q&A session. So one last thing I'm going to show you. Well, actually, maybe two. One cool thing is Comet. So Comet is a web browser. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's pretty cool. So Comet is a web browser. It works the same way as Firefox or Chrome. A little difference is that you could navigate it easily. Oh, hi, Adam. But it has this button here, Assistant. So what it does is that its Assistant here is aware of what you're seeing on that screen here, and you could prompt it to do something with that content. So you probably heard of ICE. It's long gone now, but it doesn't really matter. We have speakers here. So how about we ask our Comet that, hey, on the website that's opened, and you can see right now, create a list of names of the speakers. Do it as a table and put name, surname, position, and company in that table. For the sake of presentation today, we'll only check the first page because it is pretty slow. Let's be honest. But there you go. If I asked it to click around and push every single button here, it would do it. And if I ask it to log into my LinkedIn account and look for Adam Rebeck, president of this and that, and if I ask it to go to LinkedIn, take his profile and paste it to that very same response, it would actually do it. So it's pretty cool. It's great to use Comet whenever you're doing this kind of sales researches, but it's also great, for instance, in all the technical moments where you see the interface in front of you as a website, and you have no idea what's going on the interface. Think of network settings. Think of complex, advanced versions of the advanced tabs of the CRM or whatever tool you're using. You can simply prompt it and say, "Hey, act as this and that, do this and that, do that for me." Yeah, I think you get the idea. One last thing which I wanted to show you today is that obviously there are way more models than ChatGPT or all the well-known names. However, you might question, you might be interested in, okay, so what's really the difference between them? Which one is faster? Which one is slower? Which one gives the better answers? There's a way to check it. You don't have to buy every single one of them. There are lots of websites. One of them is arena.ai, but actually, if you're going to Google that, you will find at least 3 or 4 of websites like that, where you can choose the engine. So let's say we want to compare Gemini Pro to Claude, but actually that could be whatever. And you prompt it, and oh wow, let's try again. Did not see that coming. Give me a sec. Let me. Yep. Let's give it. Well, let's give it some simple prompts. Yeah, let's try that one, the simplest possible. Okay. Yeah. So what it does is that in real time, it asks two models at the same time and gives you the answer in real time. What's interesting here is that particular case that I gave you, it goes pretty, hand by hand, and it's pretty similar here. But most likely, when I'm going to use different model, whatever, let's say GPT, and let's say focus on European markets only. Yeah, take a look on the right side. You already have the answer. Oh, well, okay. Left one is pretty quick as well. But what I'm trying to show you is that quite often you will see the major differences in time of the response. So that gives you the answer. The quality of the answer, you could check it yourself because you are actually a human being here. So that's only up to you. But the speed is pretty obvious. Look, on the left-hand side, it's still talking to you. On the right-hand side, it's already done. Sometimes those differences are actually minutes and more than that. All right, enough of talking. We still have 1 or 2 minutes, so if you guys have any questions, I'm super happy to take them. And if not, then yeah, thank you for your attention, and yeah, Scott, back to you.
Yeah, that was great, Bartek. Really, really good. Yeah, just as Bartek says, we've got a few minutes. If anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask them now. I will say, Bartek's doing himself down. If you're in the Marbella area, he's got a live event coming up next week. So search it out. You can see some of the insights. There's some of the insights. He's been too kind, but it's going on next week. So if you are interested, you should definitely check that out because, again, I'll come from the scientific. You learn a lot more when you're in person than you do online. It's just I could talk about that for 3 hours. So if you're interested in AI and what Bartek was talking about, you want to maybe check that out. But yeah, from my perspective, hopefully it was useful today. I'm trying to get a lot in, but just to know if you do decide to come to the course in April time, we'll go through things. We can talk through things. We can, it will be a lot slower, and we'll go through things in more depth. We're trying to do quite a lot today. So hopefully everybody that joined the call found something useful. It was worth your while. Bartek and I and the Gamer Operations guys, Jack and Adam, really appreciate your time today. So yeah, just thank you. You got anything else to say, Bartek, or you?
Just one last thing, John. Hi, John. Nice to see you here. You asked, do you have any recurring prompts or prep files as MD as references? As a matter of fact, yes, I do. So what I do is that I put everything into file. MD is structured in a way that I showed you, and I simply throw the file to the model. Simply not to repeat myself, simply to hint the model what exactly I expect. So I hope that answers the question. Other than that, thank you for having me, and yeah, thank you for the attention.
Great. So no questions. We'll give you another 10 seconds of any questions. If not, yeah, we'll hopefully, Bartek, maybe see you live, and I'll see you on the course if you decide to join. But yeah, thanks again from both of us and from Adam and Jack. Thank you now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.